Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and in this video I'm going to do some more writing feedback. We have another IELTS academic writing task 2 essay. Kind of a difficult question. Let's have a look. So a new generation of entrepreneurs. Who are entrepreneurs? You know, like business people, CEOs of companies, founders of companies, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg. A new generation of entrepreneurs believe that privately funded space tourism. Let's just highlight all of this. Privately funded space tourism will be the next exciting development in space exploration. So a couple of things here. A few things. Privately funded space tourism. What is privately funded space tourism? Well, most space programs that we've seen on planet Earth have been funded by governments, right? You think of the first journey to space with Yuri Gagarin. That was funded by the Soviet Union government. And we think of Neil Armstrong and his moon landing and all of the Apollo missions. That was done by NASA, which is funded by the government. It's publicly funded. But there's this idea that a new generation that is believed by a new generation of entrepreneurs. And this idea is that privately funded space tourism. So now it's not the government paying for rockets and new technologies for like astronaut suits and things like this, but it's privately funded. Not the government, but it's companies doing it for profit or doing it to make money or whatever, or just putting the money in themselves. That will be the next exciting development in space exploration. So space exploration is the idea that humans send people and more commonly probes, like little spaceships. They send them into space to explore, to find out what's there, to do these scientific studies and to do scientific research, to find out about the geology of Mars or the atmosphere on Saturn's moons and things like this. Okay. How true do you think this is? Question 1. So, is it true that privately funded space tourism will be the next exciting development in space exploration? Is this going to happen? And secondly, how would, hypothetically, even if you don't think that it's going to happen, how would space tourism affect space exploration as we know it today? So space tourism is a little bit different to space exploration. Space tourism is the idea that rich people, or maybe in the future, not crazy rich people, can give money and take a holiday to space. Go to the moon, go to Mars, go to some other planets, or just go into Earth's orbit or something like this. So how would space tourism affect space exploration? A couple of different ways, right? It could affect it positively or negatively. That's the first thing. But you should think specifically about details here. So how would space tourism affect space exploration? Maybe space exploration would get better because with space tourism, these companies can make more money, which means that they can invest that money into new technologies like rocket technology and things like that. And that will help us to explore our solar system better. On the other hand, you might think that it might affect space exploration negatively, where the idea of going into space will not be in the future to find out, what's out there, what the atmosphere is like on Pluto, but rather, to go to the moon, to go to a shop on the moon and to buy moon rocks or something like this. So it might affect exploration negatively because the focus will be on, this commercial touristic aspect. So really not an easy question, and idea generation will be tough here. I think, if you are 25 and reasonably well educated, with a bachelor's degree, probably you can find enough ideas. If you're 16 years old and you're attempting this, just don't I just don't think a 16-year-old has any hope. At least I'm thinking of myself as a 16-year-old. I know 16-year-olds nowadays are much smarter. When I was 16, I wouldn't have been able to answer this question. But anyway, I don't know the age of the candidate. I think the candidate is from Vietnam. So let's take a look at what our candidate has for us. So, introduction. Several businessmen. So immediately, entrepreneurs are not always men. Entrepreneurs can be male or female. Several businessmen believe, okay, I know everyone says, oh, we just need a paraphrase of this. Now, in many cases, a paraphrase works fine. I don't think we need this paraphrase of this, but okay. Several businessmen believe that traveling in galaxy, doesn't say anything about galaxy. Space tourism, it might be limited to our solar system, or potentially it could be intergalactic, between galaxies. So in galaxy, it's not precise. And, it should be in our galaxy or something. Several businessmen believe that traveling in galaxy will be the next direction of space exploration. Okay, direction is fine here. But, well, no, this isn't, it's not the traveling in galaxy, it's about space tourism. And most importantly, it's about privately funded space tourism. So you have to be careful if you're going to paraphrase, if you're just going to have a mechanical paraphrase, you have to make sure that your sentence has the same meaning as their sentence, because yours doesn't here. Traveling in galaxy is not the same as privately funded space tourism. Okay, this essay completely agrees. You're not asked to agree with this or not. You are asked how true you think this is. So, just change the wording. I believe that this next step is inevitable or something like this. But okay, you're trying to show your position and I can kind of infer what you mean, okay, with this prediction, good. And delves into how private tours affect space exploration at the same time. Okay, that's fine. You're saying what you'll do. You're saying that you think this is true, and that should be your body paragraph 1. And you're going to talk about how space exploration will affect, or how private tours will affect space exploration. Okay, so mixed success in the introduction. This paraphrase is just not the same as that. The language is a little bit shaky. And I don't know about an essay agreeing. I completely agree, or this essay will explore or will present arguments in agreement with, but I don't know if an essay can agree. It's a slightly strange subject verb. But okay, we are mostly on topic. We are on topic, and we do see that the candidate is trying to set it up that, they're going to say, yes, it's going to happen, and they're telling us that they're going to talk about the effects. Okay. Body paragraph 1, now we should get, support to explain why the candidate thinks that this sentence is true. Flying outside the Earth will be common among billionaires, misspelling, in the near future, since it provides rich people with an exclusive experience. Don't love this dash. No gravity, looking Earth from sky, which is extremely interesting. Yeah, that's shows a lack of. So this is poor cohesion when you just put this dash. We tend not to do that in academic writing, and then we just get a list. No gravity, looking Earth from sky, which is extremely interesting. Now, candidates with a higher level of English would reword it to something like. It provides rich people with exclusive experiences such as zero gravity and the ability to observe the Earth from space. That's just better language, comma, which is extremely interesting. Yeah, yeah, that's just unnecessary, isn't it? Which is extremely interesting. Yeah. In addition, it can be considered, I don't know why we have capital I here. We don't use capital I in it, unless, of course, it's the start of the sentence. It can be considered, I guess it here means space tourism, or flying outside the Earth. It can be considered as a way to show off their wealth. Cool, we have a misspelling of wealth. You should find this in your own edit. Can be considered as a way to show off their wealth, comma, as well as demonstrate their high social status. Cool, high social status, good collocation. As this service costs, is it a service? I mean, could be considered a service. Costs in the present, we want to be future focused here. Will cost. Costs extortionately. Yeah, it's just, it is extortionate, or it costs an extortionate amount, but costs extortionately, and also requires social connections. So that line also requires social connections, leaves me wanting more. And saying that it will be expensive, I understand, that's immediately understandable and relevant, and also requires social connections. I don't know. I can kind of infer what you mean. I can guess what you mean. But yeah, this is underdeveloped. This can be exemplified by, or why not use something simple? For instance, Katy Perry. This can be exemplified by Katy Perry. Just use a comma here. Just use a comma. A top global singer who had a trip in a satellite. Did she have a trip in a satellite? Satellite is something that, goes around the Earth. I think she just went straight up, didn't she? And I don't know if you can have a trip in a satellite. Yeah, so had a trip in a satellite. And again, we want to be future focused here, which only lasted for 10 minutes and cost is an irregular verb, and cost her approximately $1 million. So we have $1 million. It's quite a basic mistake, isn't it? $1 million. Okay, so paragraph 1, what do we get? The candidate is on topic. Candidate makes a couple of ideas that rich people will want it because it will have an exclusive experience, and also it will be a way for them to show off their wealth. Those ideas are clear, but the support is a little weak. Language is also quite weak here, with lots of inappropriacies and some fairly basic grammar mistakes. Okay, now we should get on to how space tourism will affect space exploration. Because galaxy traveling, and again, we're not talking about galaxy traveling specifically. Galaxy traveling is not the same as space tourism. Because galaxy traveling seems to be potential, I don't know what it means to seem to be potential. That puts big strain on the listener, on the reader. Because galaxy traveling seems to be potential with top 1% individuals, space exploration might be promoted to reach higher milestones. So as a topic sentence to answer the question, how would space tourism affect space exploration? This topic sentence does nothing to answer that question. It only confuses the reader. Specifically, clients in general, always ask for newer, more unique experiences, perhaps, thus requiring space exploration companies to develop new techniques and break their limitations, such as visiting a completely new stars. New stars? With a plural noun? Yeah, that's problematic, let's say. Secondly, higher demand also means, we don't even have a firstly here, so I kind of get this point. People want new stuff, and because people want new stuff, those private companies that will lead the way with space tourism will constantly be looking for new things, and that will lead to new groundbreaking research. I can kind of infer that, but it's not clearly presented. Secondly, higher demand. Where does this higher demand come from? Also means more money from businessmen. Only men? Only men? Will be invested in. Invest in something. Will be invested in something, but not will be invested in. Supplying scientists, just one, or scientists? More supplying scientists with more resources, and then we get parentheses. I don't think you need to use these parentheses in academic writing. Sometimes they are acceptable. In part one, they're acceptable. In an essay, we often use parentheses when we give unimportant information. And in an IELTS essay, I would say only include important information. If you feel like this information is important, put it outside of parentheses. If it's not important, don't include it. So, yeah. Parentheses are those signs, brackets, skorbutchki, parentheses. Okay, more resources, super machines, modern satellite, for example. Yeah, bad cohesion here. There's no and in the list. This, therefore, is easier for them to invent new technologies. Yeah, this. Not sure what this refers to. This is easier for them to invent new technologies. Yeah, again, it creates confusion in the reader. In conclusion, I believe that space tourism will be highly developed in the near future as it... Okay, highly developed, that's nice. Highly developed in the near future as it plays as a new luxury trip for super rich people. Present time or future time? The development, therefore, might lead to some outstanding inventions in science. Okay, but you want to summarize what those inventions might be based on what you've already said. So, an attempt at a conclusion, an attempt at an introduction, an attempt at a couple of body paragraphs, but with some fairly common weaknesses throughout. So, task response. I'm going to award 6 for this. You might not like it, but all parts of the essay have been addressed, right? The candidate has said that this prediction is true. This is going to happen. The candidate has... maybe drop... I think... So, the candidate has explained clearly why this will happen. How would space tourism affect space exploration? I don't feel like I'm informed enough from this paragraph, so I'm going to lower that to a 5 because I'm informed on this. I'm not so informed on this. Yeah, coherence and cohesion. This one is going to be tricky because I'm between the 6 and the 5 again. So there are lots of strange reference words. I'm not sure what this refers to here. We do get some good stuff like in conclusion, fine. This logically is... Yeah, I don't know about the logical beginning of this sentence. So the signposting here is lacking a little bit. Candidate relies a lot on like punctuation marks instead of cohesive language. Those parentheses, so that's a lack of cohesion. And there are many cases with coherence where I read it and I just don't quite get what's being said. I think, but the paragraphing is suitable. Summary of the first idea is clear. The summary of the second idea, less clear. Okay, I'm going to be generous and give the 6 because there is enough, the paragraphing is logical. We do get clear structure of introduction, body 1, body 2, conclusion that the ideas are ordered in a logical sequence, but there are some weaknesses. Okay. Lexical resource. I'm probably going to go with 6 for this for sure. There's not enough for the 7. It's certainly not C1, but I do think there's enough in there to say that, yeah, there's some B2 language in there I don't like, which is extremely interesting. I think it's boring. Looking Earth from sky. Looking at the Earth from the sky. No, okay, so that's B1-ish, looking Earth from sky. Demonstrate their high social status. That's certainly higher level. Social connections, not immediately clear, but the vocab is good. Lasted for 10 minutes. That's good. Might be promoted to reach maybe higher milestones. Okay. Specifically, yeah, I do think there's enough in there to award the 6 for lexical resource, but grammatical range and accuracy for me will be a 5. Lots of small grammar mistakes. Really looks quite basic in its wording. Looking Earth from sky. Looking at the Earth from the sky. $1 million. Okay, is that a vocab thing or a grammar thing? Potentially both. Cost versus costed. Okay, not a big problem. Yeah, and in terms of the frequency of mistakes, there are just mistakes in almost every sentence, right? Or at least I think more than 50% of the sentences have some kind of small mistake in them. So yeah, for me, grammatical accuracy 5. So overall, for me, this is a score of 5.5. Could an examiner give it 5? Yeah, when I look at it, my instinct is to say that's probably a B1 student. That's probably B1 language in general. But according to the IELTS criteria, IELTS, I feel, is generous, where 5.5 is B2. For me, 5.5s always feel like, solid B1s, and then 6 feels to me like it's borderline B1 too, and then 6.5 feels like, yeah, that's solid B2. But according to the IELTS scale, 5.5 B2. Glynn's scale is like, this is an intermediate piece of writing. Yeah, so let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you agree with my marks? Do you agree that it is, a 5? 5.5, probably not a 6, but 5 or 5.5. Yeah, let me know. If you think that you can do better, of course, feel free to join my Telegram channel, Expert Examiner. I also have a Facebook group, Expert Examiner IELTS. A link to both of those groups are given in the description. I put posts there when I'm looking for writing, and I say like, hey, if you'd like me to check your writing, write your essay, write your task 1. I pick one piece at random and then do one of these videos. I also do a bunch of speaking tests for free. So if you'd like to take part, again, Telegram channel or Facebook channel. If you don't like the lottery system, if you don't want to, try your luck, and if you'd prefer to have a paid speaking test or writing check, information on how you can order those is given on my website, expertexaminer.com. Again, links to everything are in the description. More videos from me coming soon, but for now, bye-bye.